The music phenomenon known as the fifth is a powerful piece of music theory used across dance music, especially in drum and bass. From liquid wobbles to trancey stabs, foghorns, and jump-up basses, it's an essential technique to unlock some dope sounds. So you might ask, what is a fifth? Well, to answer this question, let's first answer what is a musical note. Well, a musical note is a sound that plays at a constant pitch. In other words, air that is vibrating at a specific frequency. For example, the note of A3 vibrates at 220 cycles per second, or in other words, 220 hertz. If you go an octave up to A4, then it doubles to 440 hertz. And if we go down an octave to A1, then it's 110 hertz. The best way to simplify this is think of a basic sound such as a sine wave. At the note of A3, a sine wave will repeat itself or oscillate at 220 cycles per second. Okay, so now that we understand what is a note, then what is a fifth? Essentially, the fifth is a note interval from your root note. So if we were to look at our piano key, and let's say we are playing the note of A, which will be our root key, the fifth is always 7 steps or 7 semitones up from your root. So if my root was A, just count 7 additional tones, which would bring us to E. So A and E. So E would be the fifth of A. Similarly, if we go up to C, then our fifth would be G. So there's a very unique relationship with these two notes, specifically a harmonious mathematical relationship. When we look at the frequency value of these two notes, it's always in the ratio of 3 to 2. What this means is that the higher note, or the fifth, will create 3 cycles. In the same time, the lower note will create 2. So when we think about that sine wave, that wave will oscillate 3 times at the fifth note, while the bottom note will oscillate 2 times. And this harmonious relationship creates a sound that is very soothing and pleasing to the ear. Sometimes we call this sound consonant, meaning the sound is very orderly, whereas the opposite, dissonance, sounds like the sound is very chaotic. So using a piano sound is one of the best ways to practice this type of theory because it has a very full, rich, and pure tone. So let's go back to the A note. And remember to set the fifth, just copy another note 7 semitones up. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And notice how harmonious that sounds compared to the other note combinations. All the other note combinations sound like it's going somewhere but never arriving. But when we land on the fifth, it sounds like you've arrived, or another way to look at it is there's a full stop, end of a sentence. Now that we know the fifth from A is E, we can just copy these two notes and move it up and down. So A sharp's fifth would be F, right? And going up. B's fifth would be F sharp. Notice the interval is always the same, so you can just move it up and down to scale and you'll still have the same relationship. So one of the most popular sounds that we employ the fifth, sometimes we call it the perfect fifth, is using a sawtooth. And you'll hear a lot of Camo and Crooked tunes use this type of sound. So here's a bassline melody. So if we just copy these notes and then make a copy at the fifth, so just shift it up here. Notice how much more richness and depth it adds to the emotion of this bass line or chord progression. Now we can take the top note, we can play with different voicings, so you can move it an octave up. You could also bring that back down and move the bottom or root an octave down. Going back up to these two, let's apply an LFO filter to the sound. You get a very popular liquid drum and bass sound. Let's repeat this exercise with a sine wave. So here's the root note playing the same bass line progression. Now this time, instead of adding an additional note on top, another way you can do this is enable a second oscillator and then set this 7 semitones up. Let's move it 1 octave up. And if you're wondering how I'm getting that wobbling sound for the sine wave, I'm simply applying the LFO to the volume of oscillator B. And that's how you get that Netsky bassline sound. This time I said Netsky. Here's another trick. You can break down the notes into shorter notes to create stabs. So here's the root note. And I simply just have that sawtooth playing, and this time I'm just applying some filter modulation to the envelope. Otherwise it would sound like this. I set that cutoff to the envelope 2 with a short decay to create this sound. And then let's add oscillator B to play that 5th. So it's 7 semitones and 1 octave up. And then you can play with the cutoff amount as well as the shape of the envelope to affect how stabby it sounds, for lack of better terms. Notice that shape of the envelope. Notice how the shape of the envelope affects how that stab sounds. Using the same idea, this time using a sine wave, we can add that perfect 5th. And then you get a deep house stab bass. Alright, let's look at some more jump up style sounds. So I have a distorted sawtooth running through a filter envelope here. So I have this MB sawtooth playing through a filter and getting distorted. Let's add oscillator B, and let's start at the same note in octave first and see how the sound behaves as we change notes. That's not bad, but why don't we move it up? Notice it sounds the sweetest at that 7 semitone value. So again, that shows the power of the perfect fifth. There's that harmonious relationship between the frequencies of those two waveforms. Then you can play with other voicings. You can move the second oscillator octave up. You can move it even higher. You can also play with the voicing of the root oscillator or oscillator A. Since we have a sub oscillator playing as the sub, we can play with the voicing of oscillator A. Let's move it up an octave. That sounds sweet. It usually sounds best when each oscillator is at a different octave. Music to my ears. So that's pretty much all I wanted to show you guys today. Just wanted to show you the basics of applying the perfect fifth to your sound design as well as your composition. So all it takes is just adding that additional note or activating that second oscillator and making sure it's 7 semitones higher. You can play with different voicings, moving the second oscillator octave up or down. It's up to you, but as long as you experiment, you're going to find and unlock new sounds. By the way, to help your understanding, you can download this project for free down in the link below. So hopefully now you understand the power of using the fifth. So the next time you write some chords, remember to add on that fifth. Or if you're programming a new synth patch or bass patch, enable that second oscillator and set it 7 semitones up. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. It lets me know to make more videos like these. Anyways, that's pretty much it for today, guys. Thanks for watching, keep practicing, and I'll see you at the next video. If you want to support, we got a new preset pack out with some big bass sounds. It's called Wubs and Wobbles. And you can check it out in the link below. And while you're at it, you can check out my other products as well. But if you're not ready to buy yet, remember you can download these products for free, also down in the link below.